All right, so we're still focusing on studying biography, and we're on day 6. This is a longer unit for our reading mini lessons, actually almost a 2-week long unit on just biographies. So our objective today is readers understand and infer the influence of the subject's relationships. Now remember, subjects is this, you can just transfer that over as person, because whoever the book is being written about, that is the subject. So if you're writing a book about Abraham Lincoln is the subject of that book. So if you're getting confused by the word subject, that's just a person. So influence of the person's relationships. So their relationships with other people. So influences. Everyone can point to someone in their life who was a positive influence. The subjects, people in biographies, are no different. So thinking about influences, who has influenced you? So you can either, we're going to start with turning and talking with your neighbor. So you're going to go ahead and talk to those around you. You're not going to get up, so you can just look around and answer this question with them, and then we'll share a little bit as a class. So who has influenced you? Go ahead. Let's start.
I don't know. Like maybe my uncle. That's the only. It's in earshot, so it's gonna hear our conversation.
So who has influenced you guys? Forgot. Can't think of a single person. I could think of at least one. Hopefully your parents have influenced you. Hopefully. What about you, Emmett? Who has influenced you? There you go. That's a pretty simple one. Kylie? Okay. All right. So, go ahead. Look back up at the board, please. So, who has influenced you? Go ahead. If anybody who wants to share can share. Marcos.
My uncle.
Who?
My uncle.
Your uncle.
And he's
All
only
right.
like 16 years old.
All right. So, Braden?
This might be bad for my brother.
Your brother has influenced you? That's true. That could definitely happen.
You were the
older brother?
chosen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's typically how it works, right? Wesley?
That's bad.
Parents. Yeah, that's an easy one, right? Your parents have influenced you. Newsflash. Since you've been born, they've been influencing you this whole time,
Not
right?
unless they want.
Amelia? Your friend Catherine. Okay. Cadence?
My cousin.
Your cousin. Zoe?
They died.
Your grandparents. That's another very big influence. Kylie?
My parents.
Your parents, yeah. Tate?
My sister.
Your sister. So you'll notice there's a lot of variety, correct? You can have your grandparents, your parents, brothers, sisters, friends, cousins, some people outside of family, teachers, or another group that typically will influence you, correct? Let's see, sometimes your idols can be an influence to you. So for example, if you're a big sports fan, maybe it's some sort of sports star that is an influence on your life and you've taken something from them. So there can be a variety of people that can influence you. So what do the words influence and inspiration mean? What do you think? What do you think? Marcos?
So, inspiration, I believe, is when you make someone either believe in something, or I believe it makes someone believe in something.
Okay.
And influence, pretty much the same thing, but it's more past tense.
Okay.
You influence someone.
All right. Good.
Right?
Daniel.
Someone you look up to.
That's
Someone you look up to. Is that for influence or inspiration?
or
Which word?
Inspiration.
Inspiration. So inspiration. Someone you look up to. Okay. Anybody else? Also for influence. What do you have, Daniel?
For influence, it's like when someone else does something, sometimes it kind of rubs off on you.
Yeah, when somebody does something. Yeah, that's true. That's why, like when we were saying at the beginning of the year, show yourself being an influence in the hallway, show what 5th grade pride looks like, show what it looks like to act in the hallway, because there's younger students that, believe it or not, you will be an influence too, because they will see you and how you act and say, oh, so that's how I should act. So you could even be an accidental influence in somebody's life. You're not even trying, but you end up being one. So, definition for influence is the power to have an effect on people or things. So the power to have an effect on people or things. So example, Christopher hoped to use his influence to make them change their minds. So that's an example of using influence. All right? Okay, and then for inspiration. Inspiration means someone or something that gives you ideas for doing something. A sudden good idea. Okay, that's what it means to be inspired or to have inspiration. Okay, so we're going to read through an excerpt of a book titled 16 Years in 16 Seconds. And we're going to be thinking about influences. So just kind of going through that, think about what are influences, who's being influenced, that sort of thing. The following Wednesday, Sammy was the first one through the open gate. He raced to the springboard, stood on the edge, and spread his arms like wings. He took a deep breath and leaped as high as he could. Sammy soared. I'm flying, he thought. He tucked his knees against his chest and spun into a somersault. Splash! Sammy splashed everyone, including his friend Hart Crumb, who was also limited to using the pool on Wednesdays because he was African American. Hart challenged Sammy to do more than one somersault. Sammy, eager to show off, raced back to the springboard. Try as he might, Sammy could only complete, this should be one somersault. Hart stopped teasing Sammy and offered to help him instead. He followed Sammy onto the diving board, and together they jumped. When they landed, Hart's extra weight helped Sammy leap higher into the air. This time, Sammy completed 1.5 somersaults. Before hitting the water, he grinned, eager to practice again with Hart. Over the summer, Sammy discovered he had a natural talent for diving, but his father wanted him to stop wasting time with sports and instead become a doctor. Sammy's parents had left Korea for a better life in America. His father worked hard at their family's restaurant, saving money in the bank and putting his tips in a shoebox for his son's future. In America, Sammy's father said, you can achieve anything if you set your heart to it. One morning, Sammy and his father drove to the market downtown to pick up vegetables for their restaurant. The streets were lined with flags from different countries. Sammy's father explained that Los Angeles was hosting the Olympics, and the flags represented the participating countries. The gold medal winners were considered the greatest athletes in the world. A chill ran through Sammy. Although his father wanted him to become a doctor, Sammy knew he wanted to be an Olympic champion. So who influenced Sammy in that excerpt? Just thinking. Reckon?
Hart.
Hart. Yup. So let's go ahead and write down. So the subject is Sammy, right? That's who we're talking about. And who influenced him? Hart. Wow, this is one bad marker.
Our test subject.
There we go. Hart. And so how did the person influence Sammy? So how did Hart influence Sammy? Levi?
Well, I just had one other person who
Okay.
influenced him.
Sure.
It didn't actually rub off on him, but his dad tried to influence him to become a doctor.
All right. So I'm going to say father or dad. All right. So we have the two characters in this part of the story that have been influencing or trying to influence Sammy. So, how did they influence Sammy? So what was the actions? How did they do it? Levi?
Hart tried to help Sammy get better at diving.
Okay. So heart help Sammy improve his diving. Okay, so we have Hart trying to help Sammy get better at diving. What about his dad? How is his dad trying to influence him? Okay, can somebody pick that up for me real quick?
No, that-
Brecken, can you go pick up the phone? Oh, is it the other one over there? Then ignore it. They'll call this room in a second. Just when they do, go ahead and pick it up for me. All right, so how is Sammy's father helping influence him? Brecken?
He is influencing me to become a doctor.
To become a doctor, okay? So, pushing him to become a doctor. I'm not picking it up, that's okay. All right. So, anything else that they do to influence? Is there anything else that's influencing? She wants to talk to me? Okay. Anything else? So thinking carefully. Do you have? Hello? No, I have not. No, you have not. Yeah. Anything else? There should be at least something else. Marcos?
Well, for something that influenced him, I think is like when his father told him about the Olympics. That helped influence him.
Exactly. There you go. So Dad explains the Olympics to him. Because before, he really wasn't wanting to be an Olympic champion until his dad told him what the Olympics was all about. And if the Olympics hadn't even been there, probably wouldn't have even ever thought about it. So that was also an influence. So while his dad wanted him to become a doctor, his dad also kind of accidentally influenced him to be an Olympic champion too, because he explained what the Olympics was about. So there can be this influence where you're trying to get somebody to do something, but like I said with you fifth graders and some of the younger students, you may also be an influence without even realizing it too, pushing people to do things that you otherwise wouldn't have told them to do, but they did it anyway because of what you had done. So thinking about those actions, right? All right, so today we talked about some of the facts a biographer includes about a subject or person. What did you learn? I want you to write down your answer in your mini lesson response. So that's going to be your notebooks over there. So you're going to write down some facts, or what did you learn? So what did you learn from today? Doesn't have to be anything super extensive, multiple paragraphs or anything like that. Just what did you learn? And you're going to write that in your mini lesson response in your notebook. That's going to be one of your tasks today. So reading, mini lesson response, and then of course I got this little grammar sheet that you can do as well. All right. So that's where we're going to stop today. You can go ahead and stop the video now.